too much unnecessarily. They are moving generally towards us. And as they get a little bit closer, what I'll try and do is position the vehicle in front of them so they walk past us. But it's important to just stop now and assess exactly which direction they're heading, and they do veer off course ever so slightly from time to time. And they could well change direction and come straight towards us if we're lucky. Time to establish where they are going. We'll just go and stand by over here. They're stopping and starting a lot. What little they have moved this morning, there has been a lot of stop-start. It's not uncommon for lion to move like this, quite lazily you could say, through the bush. It's important for them to move slowly. They'll be cautious of the two Sticks coalition members that are now moving through the area. They would have heard them, that's for certain. And they'll also be taking it slowly to not chase away any potential prey that could lie await, or could be lying ahead of them in this thick bush. So lions and leopards will move through the bush, stopping and listening every couple of minutes. And this thick bush that they're moving through is perfect terrain for them hunting and ambushing anything that could be moving through here. It's getting considerably warmer now that the sun's come out, and you'll notice I'm busy taking off my jacket. The winter days are typically crisp and cool in the morning, but then they get hot and clear and dry during the day, and you often find yourself stripping off layer upon layer as it does warm up. I'm probably gonna, that's our best option, to follow them here. Let's see where this little pathway takes us. It seems fairly open and clear. A lot of the bushes we drive over, or all of them really, will just pop back up. The slower growing hardwoods we don't drive over, and that's important to know because we're not creating nearly as much damage to the environment as you may think we are when we're off-roading. And something important to bear in mind is that people have been practicing the same behavior in the Sabi Sands for over 50 years now, and as you can see, the bush is still pristine and beautiful. So as long as off-roading is managed correctly, it has a very, very small impact on the environment. Got a great question that's just come through from Riley on Twitter, and she's interested to know if this young male could potentially join the Birmingham coalition, which is 5 young males. There is a small chance of that happening, but I would say that they are already too established amongst themselves to accept a newcomer. There's already enough of them, and I think if those 5 boys came across him, he would be in trouble. Again, only time will tell, and certain things in nature only the animals can answer. It is a great question though, Riley, and that question questions stem from the fact that I said it is possible for males from different prides or families that are kicked out alone to join up with one another and form a new coalition. So that's certainly not unheard of. Should be popping out onto a road fairly soon, and I want to actually try and get ahead of the lion so that when they do pop out onto the road, we can reverse down as they pace towards us. So that's the plan at this stage. Thankfully, this vehicle is very, very maneuverable and makes for off-roading, especially relative to the longer, bigger game-viewing vehicles. Bear with me for a second as I loop us ahead onto a road. There we go. We're very close. And it's going to be worthwhile. You'll see what I mean when we do get into position, because I think we're going to be able to get this whole pride marching down this road we've just turned onto towards us. And we are just in the nick of time. We're just going past the lioness who's in front, and I'm going to go straight past her and turn around, and I'm guessing they're going to pace straight towards us. Good morning. And Ramay sent a question through on Twitter. If you would like to send through a question on Twitter, it's quite easy. You just hashtag Safari Live. Ramay would like to know what I think the odds are of this young male surviving once he gets kicked out. Whew, that's a tricky question, Ramay. I would say 50-50. I mean, there's just so many variables involved that even though there may be statistics and percentages that have been worked out over the years, it will vary greatly from one individual's chances of success to another. But he certainly has survived the most difficult part of his life, and that would have been the first few months. Susan and Pam are both interested to know whether I can see if any of the lioness are pregnant. And to be honest, I can't notice that any of them are pregnant. They could well be. It can be very tricky to tell whether lions and leopards are pregnant, even if you know that they've mated. They give birth to such small young and don't show nearly as much as the herbivores do. That being said, according to the report that they were mating in February, or some of them were, if that mating was successful, there should be some cubs on the way. Now they're moving very slowly, intently, stopping and listening. And like I said earlier, this is common. What they can smell and what they can hear, I don't know. But one lioness does seem to be looking very intently to the south, and that's her there. appears that this may be their next shady stopover point. You can see the young male, and this is what's going to get him kicked out. He is attempting to mate with one of the lioness there, and he did try and do it earlier on this morning too. And he can't be blamed for that. That's his instincts kicking in and taking over, and it's up to Mother Nature to ensure that he heads off elsewhere, and that would be his father or other males that chase him off. Like I said, it is getting very hot, so the likelihood of them moving are becoming less and less as it does become hotter. But then again, these animals so often prove us wrong. And yesterday afternoon was no difference. It was still very hot when they arrived at the Nkuhuma waterhole, surprisingly. And it certainly was a big surprise when I got a call through on the radio that they had been spotted there. So this is all 8 of them lying here in the grass, and I wonder what their next meal is going to be. For those of you who don't know, their last successful kill was an abnormal kill for them to make. They managed to take down a hippo. It wasn't fully grown, but it kept them fed for over 48 hours. And although certain individuals' bellies still show the effects of 2.5 days of eating, others are beginning to show that they're already quite hungry. And this hunger will certainly increase their likelihood of trying to bring down prey. Even when they're lying here, not actively hunting, any potential prey could stumble upon them, and it's quite often that you leave lions fast asleep in the morning in any given spot, come back in the afternoon and they haven't moved, but they've got a kill because something has stumbled upon them. Well, Maui on Los Angeles, good morning, and Maui's interested to know, how long can lions survive for without food and or water? And comfortably 3 to 4 days. That's very comfortably they can go without a meal, from being full-bellied to their next meal is, like I say, an easier 3 to 4 day affair, but they will feed as often as they can. On the opposite end of the spectrum, lions could survive for probably a week without food and water, and the individual lions in question will vary. You get some lions that occur in desert areas that will very seldom actually drink water, and they'll acquire all their liquid from the prey that they eat. And it really is interesting to see how the same species of animals can adapt and evolved to survive well in certain areas that are very different to other areas where you get the same species. I think here it's fair to say the lion are spoilt. There's always water around, even in the driest of months in winter. And there certainly is also food. Just a matter of hunting and catching the food that can sometimes be a little bit tricky.
I like reading glass. Yes, reading glass. Yeah, male is actually there's some more new young. Yeah.
For those of you who may have just joined this morning's show, firstly, a very warm welcome. And just to fill you in on exactly what's been happening this morning, we got extremely lucky and found these lion very close to where we left them last night at Gari Dam. And after initial bit of morning play, they have moved off a short distance from the dam. We're probably half a mile from there to the south, and I'm guessing that this could be where they spend the rest of their day. They're still relatively full-bellied from that hippo that I've just spoken about that they fed on. And certainly great prospects for this afternoon. I'm guessing that they're going to put on a show for us this evening. Their increased hunger will hopefully drive them to try and catch something, and we very, very seldom get to share and experience them making kills. And I think it's fair to say it's something that is a little bit overdue. Also, just to let you know, the funny beeping noises you've been hearing on the radio is a new radio system, and we're busy trying to fine-tune the radios, and the guys will be back out early next week to try and solve all of these strange beeping noises you can hear. Well, I think these lion are not going to do too much more this morning, and there are a few more vehicles that would like to come and have a look here. There is a 3-vehicle protocol per sighting, and considering that we've been here the whole morning, I think it's only fair that we head off. We will certainly pop in a little bit later and also listen to the radio as the morning progresses, should they get up or should anything exciting happen. We will rush back here. But for now, I think it might be worth heading off and having a look at what else is happening here. It's a large property, and we do need to search around to try and find things. Oh, hang on. What's happened here? What has this one lioness seen or heard? It's certainly looking intently in that direction. So, we aren't going anywhere just yet, but in the next couple of minutes I think I will have to make space for other vehicles that are waiting to join the sighting. We'll certainly not go anywhere until we've established what has caught these lions' attention. There's just one of them that's looking intently into this thick bush.
tail was kind of raised. So it's like when they smell the carcass on the distance. If they could, they have to work hard. So, possible.
Well, maybe it was a false alarm, because that lioness is now relaxed and lay back down. It really would be interesting to live just one day in a lion's body, just to understand how acute their hearing is, their ability to see at night, their sense of smell, and also their speed and power. Would be an amazing thing to experience. But we're going to have to rely on our imaginations for that.
What?
The male comes with.
Yeah.
I just want to give it a few more minutes here, just to make sure these guys are fast asleep and they're not going to get up in the next few minutes and continue moving.
Get an arm going.
The thought was there, we need agreement.
Don't take stuff good here.
Tammy in Pennsylvania, who's one of our zoomies who controls the waterhole camera at the Nkuhuma waterhole. Morning, Tammy, and thanks for all your hard work on the waterhole cam. We really appreciate all you guys do for us. Tammy would like me to try and explain the difference between a male and a female lion's calls. And there are some very, very seasoned veterans of the wilderness that can tell the difference between male and female. I certainly can't. And Brent and I both got confused last night when we heard some members of this pride calling. We thought it was in fact the Styx male coalition that we've heard is snooping around this area, and that's why we rushed out after dinner to try and find them. And it was in fact these lions. So that's a perfect example of how tricky it is. Neither Brent nor myself knew. And very, very few trackers or guides that I know of can tell accurately every time whether it's a male or a female roaring.
What?
Some part, yeah.
He was barking.
Okay, well, I think it's fair to say that these guys are fast asleep, and even though it's quite hot, it might be worth us heading towards the hyena den site, and I believe a few of you are interested in going there, so I think that'll be the general plan. It'll take us about 5 or 10 minutes to get there, and again, we will be close to the line if anything does happen, but as you've seen, they look very lazy, and I don't think we're going to get too much action from them.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good day.